Hey friends, it's July, so that means I am sharing some Christmas in July DIY crafts, and this collection includes some sweet, whimsical, rustic, cutesy little gingerbread crafts. Let's go ahead and get started. This cute little project is my homespun gingerbread decor using a 4 by 4 inch frame from the Dollar Tree, as well as this cute Merry and Sweet Christmas transfer set. That little gingerbread man is from that set. And I'm also using this scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. Now, again, like I said, the little gingerbread man is from the Merry and Sweet Christmas from Essential Stencil. Now, I will have a link to this particular set in the description box. And guys, again, as I'll say, if by chance they are sold out, just do a request a request for restock notification, because that lets Essential Stencil staff know that you're interested, and then they know kind of what to reorder and stock for what we're interested in. Okay. All right. So guys, what I did is I just took a piece of that scrapbook paper, and then I just took the frame apart. I'm not going to be using the glass. I'm just going to be using that backer of that little frame. And then I just cut it out, using my friction pen. And I figured out which spot on the scrapbook paper I wanted. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere that gingerbread man to this scrapbook paper, just using the Essential Stencil transfer tool, and easy peasy lemon squeezy, and that just attaches so well. Now what I like to do is kick it up a notch and take my little transfers to give them the more hand painted look. So I'm just taking my Kiehl's dark wax and just a little scruffy brush. I go around and give it a little bit of depth and dimension, and then that gives it that extra hand painted look. I also add some of my icicles stickles, which is glitter glue, and when it dries, it just gives it an extra sparkle for my already cute projects. But again, that goes in with the hand painted look. All right, so for the little bow, what I did is I just ripped some homespun fabric, and I also have just some laces that I cut apart, and then also I'm using some of that table runner that I get from Hobby Lobby. I've mentioned this in previous videos. What I do is I get one, it's ivory, and then I take my vintage photo distress ink and give it the brown coffee stain look. And so I love, using this. Then I just have my little mini bow dabra. It's perfect to kind of hold my little pieces here, just to so that I can, kind of gather it all together. I also added some sisal grass to my bow, and then just tied everything off with jute. Now I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to the frame. And then the chunky red heart is something that I had on hand. I was cleaning out a drawer, and I found these package of chunky red hearts, and I'm like, oh my goodness, why haven't I used those? So that's what I'm using them. I'm sorry, I don't know where I got them from, but they are super duper cute. Once I got my tag finished, then I'm using some glossy accents just to give it a shiny look over the top. I just kind of pat it so that I don't smear any of the inking around the little tag. And I just love how this little guy turned out, and he's perfect for the holiday season, for tiered trays, for decor, or just a special gift for someone. I absolutely love how these homespun fabric gingy bowl fillers or decor pieces turn out. So let me show you how I made them using some of these supplies. Now, the pattern for the gingy came from mondaymandala.com. I'll tell you about that in just a second. I'm also using some brown fabric, some gold brown homespun fabric, and then the cardboard that I'm using for this project is just boxes that I cut up from my Magnolia Design Design Co. Just the things that I've ordered, and their boxes are really, really nice. So the Gingy pattern comes from mondaymandala.com. I was on Pinterest and just searched for gingerbread man pattern, and then it led me to this pattern, and then that led me to the website. Oh my goodness, they have so many gingerbread patterns in different shapes and girls, boys, all that kind of thing. So check out mondaymandala.com if you want a gingerbread pattern. I will have a link for it in the description box. Not all cardboard boxes or cardboard that we use is the same thickness. So that usually depends on which tool we will need to use. Sometimes scissors, box blade, X-Acto knife, just something to cut through the cardboard. And what I did is I used a variety of tools here just to figure out which ones work the best for me. I'm glad that I did not use a pattern that was any more curved than what it is. And so my little bitty short blade Tim Holtz scissors actually did the best, as well as my X-Acto knife. I used my box blade just to cut those apart. And so yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just really depends on the thickness of the cardboard and depending on which tool will work the best for that project, what we're doing. So what I did is I had some batting, and so I cut out the some batting so that I could have a little thickness to my gingerbread. And then this brown striped fabric is from Hobby Lobby. And so what I'm showing you here is I got off those stripes that kind of bugged me a little bit. So the next one I made sure and glued down the stripes so that when I pulled it to glue around the gingerbread body, I did not want those stripes to be wavy. That just kind of bugged me. But anyway, it was, I'm just here to inspire you, to encourage you, just to give you ideas of just different things that, you could do and just share my little gingerbread, my little homespun gingerbread fabric ornaments with you, or bowl fillers or decor pieces. So what I did is I just took my time and just cut and spliced the fabric so that I can get it glued down all the way in the back. I did 2 brown and 2 of the brown homespun fabric. I don't know which one I like better. I love both of these patterns, and I love just how they kind of offset a little bit. And so now what I did to kind of really helped cover up that back because it wasn't very pretty, I just have some felt and just tracing out some felt on that. Now I'm just showing you the supplies that I'm using. Of course, if you don't have cardboard, you can always use foam board or poster board or, something like that to cover up the back. Scrapbook paper or brown bags or something like that would work as well. I am just, again, here to inspire you, to encourage you to just share ideas to create these sweet little gingerbread ornaments. Now, to give it a little bit of definition, I used my vintage photo distress ink and just went around each one of them and just gave it a little bit of color around the edges of the gingerbread. Then, to give them a little bit of sparkle, I pulled out my Snow Flurry glitter and my adhesive spray and just added a little bit of sparkle to each of the gingerbread men. Then for the icing, I have this ivory rickrack. I had this in my stash, and so I cut pieces of that. And then I really think that this just is the perfect little icing for these little fabric, little gingerbread men. You can always use puffy paint or any kind of like lace or ribbon would work as well, but this was just perfect and I had it on hand, so I decided to go ahead and use it. Now, to decorate the bodies, I just have some buttons in my stash and then just pulled out the ones that I wanted, getting them the sizes to match up, and then just use my Fabri-Tac glue just to glue everything down. And I absolutely love how these little homespun on fabric. Gingerbread men turned out. I was totally inspired when I saw something so very similar at the antique farmhouse, and they had a big one that was kind of like a pillow. And so I'm like, I want to make some smaller ones for myself, and I absolutely love how these turned out. I will leave a link for my project inspiration in the description box because I always love to give credit where credit is due for my inspiration. This is my mini gingerbread caddy using 2 mini charcuterie boards or cutting boards. I picked these up during the fall season when they're clearancing them out at Hobby Lobby. I'm also going to be using a wooden box from the Dollar Tree as well as a 5 3/4 inch wood spindle that I got from Amazon. So the first thing that I'm going to do is give it a good sand just to get a little bit of the gloss off, and so that I can take my antique wax and a baby wipe and I go around 3 of the edges, the side, and 1 back so that it gives the antique look. And for the spindle, I take a paintbrush and just, brush on that antique wax, then wipe it off with a paper towel, and it gives me a deeper look than what I get from the baby wipe. Now, I had intentions to use the hazelnut chalk paint for my gingerbread, but it wasn't the color I wanted, so I pulled out my trusty milk chocolate acrylic paint, and that is the color of gingerbread that I like. Now, I was going to paint the cutting board just with a gingerbread face, but I changed my mind midway and I pulled out this striped cardstock that I have at this pack, Winterberry from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to trace it out a little bit bigger because I want it to go around, and this is going to be kind of like a cap for the top of my gingerbread. And I used my friction erasable pen to draw out the caps. And now I'm just using my heat tool just to get those marks off of there. And those friction pens you can find on Amazon. All right, so then to attach the cap, I want to go ahead and put that on first before I do my face because I want to know how high I need to put some icing and the eyes and all of that. So I'll go ahead and just attach that scrapbook paper or cardstock paper with Mod Podge. And when that paper was completely dry, I just gave it a little sanding using my Gator sander because no matter how much I measure, I always get off just a little tad, and it really is okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and paint up the cute little gingerbread faces. Y'all have seen me do this many, many times. I draw out the eyes. I like the more almond-shaped eyes. They touch at the top. I use my black marker first, my Sharpie marker, then I go in and fill it in with black paint. I love my little doodling. I love my cheeks and all of the little embellishments or the little details. I get out, as I say, the beauty is in the details. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint up these little cheeks here, give some little freckles. Now the freckles ended up being a little bit bigger than what I thought, but in the end, I like them because, hey, the beauty is in the details and all of that good stuff. I designed the letters Gingerbread Kisses and Peppermint Wishes just in Cricut Design Space and cut it out on permanent vinyl with my Cricut Joy. Now, this is just for inspiration purposes. You could definitely leave off the lettering or use stickers or some other sort of lettering, whatever works for you. But I have a Cricut and I love to use it. And so I love my little Cricut Joy, and it just helps me make little cute projects like this. And so then I use my wood glue and some hot glue, and then just put my little gingerbread box together here. I do one side, I put the little spindle in, and then I do the other side. And that seems to work a lot better. And I don't have to struggle so much to get it glued down. Now I added this little gingerbread caddy toad. I just had some peppermints on hand. I didn't have any kisses like Hershey Kisses, but I'll be adding some Hershey Kisses to that. And my little grandson is going to get a kick out of this as well. I also have an Americana 1776 flag little caddy that I did, as well as a fall one. And I just can't wait to do them for other seasons, including Valentine's Day and then next spring. And friends, I listened to your feedback and y'all did not like the gap with the paper in the back. So I decided to cut another piece of paper and wrap it all the way around, kind of give it like a cap or like a cuff of the cap. And so I'm just using my distress ink. And then this is an 8.5 by 11 red stripe paper from that same paper pad that I used initially. And so I just wrapped it, glued it all the way around. And then I kind of tried to, where I wouldn't have so much defining lines, but I did add some greenery, like some pine greenery, and a little sisal bow and a red chunky heart that I had in my stash. And I just think that it is the perfect touch. And I do agree that I do like the red band of the cap all the way around. This project is a gingerbread mini ornament, and I was totally inspired by one that I saw on Pinterest. So check out the description box for the inspiration credit for this project. All right, so guys, what I'm using is a mini cutting board. And what I mean by that is I found these smaller cutting boards in the Christmas section over at Hobby Lobby, and they measure 2 inches by 3 inches. And so when I ran across that inspiration gingerbread over on Pinterest, I'm like, oh my goodness, I have some of those little cutting boards in my collection of craft supplies. So I pulled them out and decided to make some little ornaments. So the first thing I did is I sanded off as much as I could to get some of that the lettering off, and then I gave it just a stain of the antique wax that is by Waverly. Now I'm coming in with some crimson acrylic paint. Now this is the Master's Touch acrylic paint, and you'll get that usually in the art section. And so I'm just taking my palette tool here and just kind of palette painting like this. I kind of want some of that stain to show through. So I am just going over it kind of different ways down sides just to make some different kind of indentions and a different pattern on this little ornament. And then these small little mini gingerbread, this whole pack came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm using hazelnut chalk paint to paint this whole pack up. I only needed one for this project, but since I already had my paintbrush out in the paint, I'm like, you know what, just go ahead and paint all of them because you'll, just have them on hand when you need them. I pulled out my vintage photo distress ink just to give it a little bit of the darkness that I wanted, but I wasn't quite getting the look. So I went to Plan B and my Mod Podge, as well as my instant coffee and my cinnamon. I just dab just dots of Mod Podge on there, and then wherever that was, then I added some instant coffee as well as cinnamon on this little ornament just to give it that primitive country look that I wanted. Then to kick it up a notch, I added some adhesive spray and my snow swirl glitter because I love adding this type of glitter to my Christmas ornaments because I really think that it makes it pop. And then for the homespun bow, I just have strips of homespun, and you can get homespun at Hobby Lobby or you can get it online at jubileefabrics.com. And I'm also using some muslin fabric. And then this muslin fabric was just a little too white. And so I take my vintage photo distress ink and then I just rub my little finger dauber over that muslin fabric just to give it a little bit of brown color and kick it up a notch. Then I'm going to make a cute little gingerbread tag, just hand lettering gingerbread on some craft colored cardstock. I'm going to be ripping around the edges just to make the cute little tag. Here is my gingerbread jean pocket made from some old blue jeans. Now, if you would like to know how to cut off pockets, if that is a question that you have, I will leave a link in the description box below because every time I do a little jean pocket project like this, I always get questions of how do you cut the pocket off of jeans. So just check the description box for that little quick tutorial. For my little gingerbread girl's face, I am just taking milk chocolate acrylic paint and a flat paintbrush and just kind of freehanding a circle. Mine is not perfect, but if you want a perfect circle, you can always trace out a pattern, find something online, or use like a jar or maybe like a roll of ribbon the size that you want for your face and just paint that. I give it 2 coats of milk chocolate acrylic paint. Then for the border, I'm just using plaster chalk paint and then go around the entire edge of the pocket. And then I'm going to let that dry. Then I'm going to work on the face. Now, I like to create cute little character faces for just different seasons. And so I am drawing out some eyes, and I like the more almond shaped eyes where they kind of touch at the top. Now I trace out with my black marker, then I go ahead and fill it in with black paint. Now for this particular little gingerbread girl, I was struggling in this video, and I had, when I previously shared this gingerbread pocket along with the snowman pocket, I had shared that I had messed up and on the right eye of her eyelashes. And so I kind of shared how I fixed that. I just took a baby wipe and just more paint and just painted over that so that I could get the eyelash the way that I like it. And so I share this with you just to say I'm not a perfect painter, and I do not ever want to claim to be. I want to inspire you, to share my ideas with you, and just encourage you to do things the way keep trying. Practice makes perfect. And so I had also got those eyebrows a little too high. So I went ahead and painted over that because it just dawned on me, girl, you're going to need to add some icing for your little gingerbread girl. Now for the cheeks, I'm using Barn Red acrylic paint and a stippling brush or a stencil brush, and then I just stipple on some cheeks and then let that dry. And then also just taking a flat paintbrush and just giving some red striping all around the border of the little gingerbread pocket. For the gingerbread, I'm using these 18 millimeter rusty jingle bells, and I got these from Factory Direct, and I got those a few years ago. I also have a rusty heart, like a primitive country heart that I've had on hand. I'm not quite sure where I got that from, but what I did is I just took my little mini hole punch that I got from Hobby Lobby in the jewelry section, and I just, I'm able to punch a hole in that small metal like that. So then I'm just kind of threading on my jingle bells, and then I'm going to tie that into, a little bow, and that string, what I'm using is hemp cording that I get in the jewelry section over at Walmart, or any craft store should have it in the jewelry section. But it just makes my little primitive country projects look really cute and rustic. These just make such cute little gifts. You could just change out, the characters to match your style and design. Now, I am a gift card fan, and so this is perfect for a little gift card or a small little gift, a little trinket, that kind of thing. And then they can use it for years to come as an ornament or a doorknob hanger, or just to hang on a hook or something like that. This is how I created my little gingerbread minis that are perfect for dough bowls or just decorating around the home for Christmas. Now, guys, I had found this faux leather over at Hobby Lobby before they clearance them out. As of the time of this video, they're no longer carrying them, which is a bummer, but I wanted to continue to share this video because you can find faux leather at other places like Amazon, other craft stores, Etsy, and just other stores that I may not know that is available. So what I did is I just traced out a pattern, just cut it out of a circle using some cardstock, and then I just traced it out on the faux leather. And then what I'm doing to get the both sides the same, I'm just using some stick pins just to pin it there, and then using my sharp scissors, I cut it out. I'm just going to use some hot glue to glue these shut. Now I'm leaving a bit of an opening so I can put in some fabric fill in there, some stuffing for my little dough bowl ornaments, or ornies in the primitive country world. That's what we call them. I'm going to be painting up a cute little gingerbread face and just making her so sweet. I had purchased 2 rolls of the brown faux leather looking this color like this, so I ended up making 4 of the gingerbread ornaments. 2 of them I have with a little bit different shape, a little more elongated face, and now I'm just giving them some white paint splatter and making them just look so stinking cute. This is my little Merry Gingy Christmas decor using a 12 by 12 canvas. Now, the cute little print is something that I found on Etsy, and I printed it on rice paper. And then for the background, I am going to be using my snowflakes embossing. I pulled out my Cuttlebug, which is just a embossing machine, die cutting, little die cut thing. And so I wanted these snowflakes to be embossed, and I wanted something thin to Mod Podge onto the canvas. And so what I used is just some lunch bags that I purchased from my local grocery store, and then my snowflakes embossing folder. This is a Sizzix snowflakes embossing folder, and I'm just running it through my Cuttlebug just to give me that snowflake embossing. It's been a few years since I have used this little machine, but it does not fail. It just gives me the look that I'm going for, and I just did pieces of them. I wasn't quite sure how many of them I was going to need, but I wanted to get that snowflake on a lot of the different pieces, so that's what I did. I just ran them through my little Cuttlebug embossing little machine, and they just turned out perfect, just ready to go for me to Mod Podge onto my canvas. So I'm just using Mod Podge and just attaching that background to the canvas. I wasn't worried about it being even. I'm going for the messy kind of decoupage and kind of mixed media. That's the kind of the look that I'm going for. I set my canvas aside to dry almost completely, and then I pulled out my white ink pad and my fingers, little sponge here, and I'm going over some of the raised embossed areas of the snowflakes just to kind of bring them out a tad. It doesn't quite show up really on on camera, but yeah, I can see them and I love the background. Now for the little gingerbread, I printed it on rice paper, and so I just was going to use the water method with the paintbrush and just tear it, but I was kind of smudging the ink, and so I was like, oh well, we're just going to put that to the side, and I just ended up ripping it just with my hands. And then to give it a little bit of definition, I am just using my distress ink in Vintage Photo and just going around just to give it a little bit of definition. Again, this is kind of like a mixed media project in my mind, and so to attach the gingerbread to the canvas, I'm just using some Mod Podge. At first I was going to Mod Podge over it, but I didn't want to smear the ink on the gingerbread print or the white of the embossing of the snowflakes. So I decided to put the Mod Podge on the back of the gingerbread print and then just kind of pat it a little bit around the edges so that I wouldn't mess up my inking too much. And so then just to give it a little bit more definition, I'm just using my Vintage Photo in distress ink and just going around some of the edges of the paper bag snowflake embossing and just go around the edges just to give it a little bit of color around this entire decor piece. For the Merry Christmas lettering, I used my Cricut and cut out the lettering in a font that I had on my computer. This font is called Sadie Bold. I purchased it from Creative Market. I'll leave a link for it in the description if it's something that you're interested in having for yourself. And so I cut this out on permanent vinyl, and I have some transfer tape here, but I cut it down as much as I could because I did not want it to rip my background, but it worked out really good. And so I'm going to make just a topper for the top of my gingerbread decor piece. I don't want anything overbearing because I really want the gingerbread and the Merry Christmas to be the focal point, but I wanted to add this little swag as an accent with just a simple little red with gingham bow. So I just have some greenery that I've had on hand. I've either got it from Walmart or Amazon, and just attach that there with my stapler. And you can find that stapler in my Amazon store. I get questions about that every time I use it. And then to add a little bit more pizzazz to my decor piece, I pulled out my stickles, which is glitter glue, and I just go around and give the whole piece a little bit of stickles just to enhance the berries, the gingerbread, the greenery, and all of that. Then I just take my black fine point marker and just go around the gingerbread just to bring him up and make him stand out just a tad bit more. And I absolutely love the way that this whole decor piece turned out. I was inspired by something that I saw on Pinterest, but I did not save it to my boards, and so I could not find it back. But I was totally inspired and wanted to recreate it for a little decor piece for myself.